Yo, this is Teresa Weatherspoon, better known as Teaspoon, and you're watching Real Fans, Real Talk.
Live from the can. Vibe the can.
This is Real Fans, Real Talk. Real fans, real talk. We as real as you thought. Real fans.
What's going on? Welcome to another live edition of Real Fans, Real Talk. Another big weekend in sports. Unfortunate cancellation in the world of boxing. But we're going to get into just about everything in just a minute. Let me introduce my co-host, my brother, Eric Sanchez, a.k.a. Legend of Two Games. What's going on, man?
What's really good, bro? Yeah, I kind of forgot that fight got canceled because it had been kind of teased for a minute that it may not happen.
Yeah.
But overall, week 10 of the NFL, I don't think disappointed. We had some great games. I think we get a great game on Monday night.
A lot of surprises.
And NBA is thriving right now. So, yeah, I think it's a good time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me see what's going on because I see. Yeah, I guess we're gonna have to talk about it. I'm gonna start right now with the Giants. Shout out to Kyrie. He says, "Does Jackson Dart need to change his style of play?" No, because he's able to do what he does because of that style of play. So I don't think he needs to change it. I just think he needs to be more aware, and learn how to get down and slide, or whatever, get out of the way of taking the big hit. Because I mean, you're gonna get hit. It's football. It is what it is. But his athleticism, that explosiveness, that's what makes him the quarterback that he is. So I don't want to change what he's got going on because I think he's going to be really good.
I mean, shout out to Kyrie. Obviously, he does, because no quarterback is going to last long playing the way he plays. But let's keep in mind, we're talking about a quarterback who's got, 6 career starts? He's a rookie. His best 2 weapons aren't even on the field right now. So, yeah, he's playing reckless. He's playing like he would have played in college or high school, because you're going to revert back to your comfort zone when things break down around you. And so over time, he'll develop that. He'll figure that out. So I don't want to say, does he need to change his style? Because, yeah, I mean, Josh Allen needed to change his style, and he did. Lamar Jackson needed to change his style, and he did, right? Drake May last year played like this. Drake May played like a rookie last year who ran around a lot and took big hits. So he will change. I think ultimately he will. Trip, the news came down today that Brian Daboll got fired. So
yeah,
I don't, whoever they bring in now is a temporary solution. I don't think whoever they bring in now is going to be the long-term coach. They're going to spend this offseason.
Yeah, it's the offensive coordinator. He's going to take over.
But so I think this offseason, when the Giants reevaluate coaches, I'm going to tell you right now, Trip, it was one of the names that was mentioned last year, and he turned down the job only because of his respect for Daboll. He's going to get a call. It's going to be Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick actually had a conversation with the Giants last year. It was reported. And he said because he has a relationship with Brian Daboll and he has a lot of respect for Daboll, he didn't want to step on his toes that way, and said, I wouldn't step in knowing that you're firing him just to give me the job. But now that he's officially fired, I guarantee you, Bill Belichick.
The season, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit different.
No, that's what I'm saying. He's not going to come in right now. He's still got to finish his.
That's what I'm saying. It's like for him, because of his reasoning for not taking
taking it last off season.
Yeah.
Now he'll finish out the season at North Carolina because the job for North Carolina was never for him. It was for his son.
Yeah.
The Giants would probably, place a call and, hey, are you still interested? Is this a job that still intrigued you? Especially now knowing that the quarterback position is set. You know who your young guy's going to be.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be number 1 on their list. And so in regards to Jackson Dart, whoever the next coach is going to help him work through that. So like I said, I don't want to be critical of Jackson Dart after 6 starts because he's looked good in all those starts. And he's playing reckless, but most rookie quarterbacks do.
That's what I'm saying. It's a part of the game. He's obviously, he's gonna develop and mature in his style of play because you ain't gonna, want to take them kind of hits consistently. You know what I'm saying? We've seen how that can end up for your career, with Tua in Miami. taking all those hits. So the goal obviously is to adjust to the game. But again, there's a couple of factors here. One, he's a rookie quarterback. Okay. Two, the Giants don't even have a halfway decent offensive line. Okay, so he's got to run for his life a lot of the times anyway, which what I'm saying, which is cool because he as far as running the football, he kind of gives me Josh Allen vibes. You know what I'm saying? Where he can get in the end zone, he can get you 20, 30 yards here and there. You know what I'm saying? And he can still, pass the football down the field. But yeah, that maturity comes with understanding the game and the game slowing down for you. And that happens over the course of time. You're gonna know, all right, listen, I can't do this. I gotta stay in the pocket for a second if I'm going to do that. You know what I'm saying? To protect yourself from taking those kind of hits that'll put you out of the game because you don't want to get concussions. Like to have one concussion in a season is one too many. Right? But now when you're talking about you have now multiple, if you want to last in this league, if you want to live, period, have a life after football, you got to protect yourself, and you cannot take those kind of hits and be getting put out with concussions 2 and 3 and 4 times in a season.
Absolutely not. And again, we can't. I don't think we should be critical of Jackson Dart and his style of play because we got to remember his number one receiver is out, his top running back is out. And the one thing that a lot of young quarterbacks don't realize and they don't really learn until they got some experience is that it's okay to punt the football. It's all right if nothing's there on third down, throw it away. Don't take unnecessary sacks. Don't take unnecessary hits. And that's one of the things that he will learn. And again, the not this current coaching staff, because again, I think this is an interim staff. This isn't going to be the long-term staff. The long-term staff that's going to come in this offseason will go over all the tape with him and kind of show him that, listen, you probably had about 20 to 25 unnecessary hits this year. You know what I'm saying? If you want to preserve your body, if you want to be a guy who's an impact player in this league for a long time, you got to learn when to throw the ball away. You got to learn when to slide. You got to learn when to say, hey, the play is dead. It's all right. We can punt the ball and we'll regroup for the next possession. So he's still young. I don't want him to change his mindset. He'll alter the way he plays, though.
Yeah. And, another, again, because when you mention the guys that are missing, excuse me, with a Scatterbo, who is somebody that linemen are not just bulldozing over. You know what I'm saying? So that's another weapon that you have to protect you that you don't have because he's injured. Tracy, he ain't doing much of nothing out there right now. Last season it looked like he was going to be decent, but this season he ain't doing nothing, nothing out there. So
Tracy played good yesterday, but I mean, in regards to his comparison to Scatterbo, no, it's not the same type of back. Scatterbo is so good in pass protection as well.
In to what he did last year. I'm saying he hasn't, like last year he was looking like he was going to be a good running back. This year he's looking like he might be average at best.
Yeah.
So we shall see. But again, I like what you said about Belichick. I would love to have Belichick come and coach the Giants.
He's definitely gonna. I'll tell you right now, he's gonna get a call. He'll be one of the names they float around. It was reported even before he took the North Carolina job that, like I said, the Giants had just asked him about his interest, and he said he would be interested, but he didn't want to step on the toes of Brian Daboll and get him fired like that.
You gotta respect that too. I like that. Is Josh Allen most to blame for Sunday's loss? The loss that messed up the parlay.
No. Nope. I'm not blaming Josh Allen. The issue with the Buffalo Bills is something that we've highlighted before. And it's the reason why he won MVP last year. He doesn't have a legitimate number one receiver. And so when teams are able to play that style of defense that Miami played yesterday, other teams have done it too. Patriots did it to them earlier this season too. Teams are just sitting in a two safety look and basically saying, keep everything in front of you, be very super aggressive with the receivers, and force Josh Allen to hold the ball longer. You saw it yesterday. He's running around for his life back there. He's extending plays, trying to let a guy get open. And if they got the lead and they could just hand the ball off to James Cook, that's one thing. But when they're playing from behind like they were yesterday, you see it changes the way they look. They have nobody he can trust to throw the ball to.
Exactly. And I would have to blame the GM, the upper brass, because you understood how impactful a Stephon Diggs was for Josh Allen, right?
Yeah, but
So I'm not saying to get Stephon Diggs, but I'm saying you have to replace that, or you're going to have situations like this where a team that you should clearly beat. This should not even be a close game. You guys should beat these guys by at least 3 touchdowns. But because there's no weapons, and you got a couple of good safeties out there or a good couple of good corners out there, you can put them in a situation where they have to force a lot of things on the offensive side of the football. So GMs, y'all got to go out and you got to get somebody who can come in. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously it wasn't enough last year to get them over the hump, right? They made it to the playoffs, but they didn't get to a Super Bowl. They didn't win. So they need that guy. They need that number one guy for situations like this.
They need the number one guy. But I think it's to just say it's Stephon Diggs, no, because keep in mind they've been to the
When I say Stephon Diggs, I'm just saying him being a number one wide receiver. I'm not saying
but
Stephon
even,
Diggs.
like I said, even with Stephon Diggs and without Stephon Diggs, the results were the same. They got to an AFC Championship game because they were in an AFC Championship game last year, right? And they lost to the Chiefs. So the reason they parted ways with Stephon Diggs, you look back at the production, he struggled at the end of that year with them. He just couldn't get separation, couldn't get open. Now, what's going on in New England right now, I'm not counting last year because he was hurt most of last year with the Texans, so he didn't get a chance to really show anything. What's going on with New England right now may be a product of what we talked about when we said New England has this really good core of players, right? They don't have like the all-world guy. They don't have the one guy that you say, hey, when you look at them as a collective, you say, hey, Stephon Diggs with Hunter Henry, with Trayvon Henderson, with Drake May, like, all right, that's some good pieces there. And they just scheming it up really, really well. Yeah. Buffalo, to me, went sideways was they had Stephon Diggs, they had Gabe Davis. And it looked like, all right, if they didn't want it to be Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis was going to be the guy. Then they let Gabe Davis go and they drafted Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman hasn't taken a step. They thought Keon Coleman coming out of Florida State was going to be the guy to be the true number one. He has not taken a step, and that's what's hurt them more than anything. If Keon Coleman would have taken that step up and been the progressive number one guy, then we wouldn't care. But because it didn't go that way, and because they let both those receivers go that were part of an AFC championship team, now you're looking at them and you say, all right, who are you out here throwing to? What does Josh Allen have? And they found themselves in a very tough predicament because they had to pay James Cook this offseason, right? They could have.
He deserved it too. He deserved it.
He deserved it. But what I'm saying is because the draft pick didn't hit, and now you had to go get Keon Coleman. Now you had to sign James Cook. It took you out of the running to get Devontae Adams. Look how good Devontae Adams is looking with the Rams. You telling me Devontae Adams? You know what I'm saying? He would have been great with Buffalo. So. Right. It took them out of the running to go get a guy because you had to now say, all right, we got to pay the running back now. Yeah. And another big issue with Buffalo, it's been ongoing for years. They have not been able to find a true edge rusher. They got good guys on the interior of that line, Ed Oliver specifically, but year after year, they keep going after these veterans that have passed their prime. It was Von Miller before. Now it's Joey Bosa. They still can't get pressure on the exterior of the defensive line. They don't have a guy who can get to the quarterback. So it's a couple of things going on there, and the GM is going to have to be very aggressive this offseason to get Josh Allen the target.
Yeah. Dion Hoopspace says Bill's Super Bowl odds deserve to plummet. I don't know about plummet, but they definitely should go down a little bit.
Well, absolutely. Let's keep in mind the landscape of the AFC. I'm not saying all these teams I'm about to say are better than Buffalo, but keep in mind the landscape of the AFC. Buffalo right now is a full 2 games behind the Patriots for the division. So they may not even win the division. They got one more game with the Patriots. Patriots got the tiebreak over them. The Colts right now got the inside track to have the best record in the AFC, right? The AFC West, whether you like Denver, whether you like the Chargers, who had a good win yesterday, whether you like the Chiefs, all 3 of those teams are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. So when you talk about Super Bowl odds, if the Bills are not going to have home field advantage, if they've got to go through the wild card route, are you telling me they're good enough to beat 3 of the teams I just mentioned? I don't think they are. So if we're going to say do their odds deserve to plummet, yes, because everything is not going to go through Buffalo. They're going to have to go on the road. And the teams that I mentioned, I think just have more firepower offensively and also just more well-rounded teams. no matter how you feel about the Colts have a way better offense than the Bills. And with the addition of Sauce Gardner, and then when they get Ward back, their secondary is better than the Bills, right? The Broncos might have the best defense in football. The only thing the Broncos are missing are the quarterback, right? The Chargers are a well-rounded team. The only thing the Chargers are missing is offensive line. But all these teams, I think, are better structured for the playoffs than the Buffalo Bills. Even the Patriots, I think, are better than the Buffalo Bills right now. And I don't think that one game was a fluke. You see it week in, week out. They are better.
Yeah. And they're going down to the wire with a lot of these games, so just coming up at the end of the game and getting the W. Squeezy says, "Are you losing faith in Josh Allen in Buffalo right now?" I'm not losing faith because I didn't think this was going to be the year that the Bills got over the hump anyway. I just, even with like when you look at the Bills, right, it's a similar situation, like you said, to the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes not really having the weapons. The difference though is the Chiefs have a better defense than the Bills, and they do have a pass rush. So I didn't have Buffalo going any further than they did last year anyway. So no, for me, I'm not losing faith because I didn't have it in the beginning.
I'm losing faith in the Buffalo Bills. I'm not losing faith in Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen is still one of the premier quarterbacks. But the Buffalo Bills coming into this season, Trip, I mean, we thought it was going to be between them, Baltimore, and Kansas City. We thought it was going to be the usual suspects. Baltimore looks like they're getting themselves right now. They're getting healthy. They win a couple games, and they're in the soft spot of their schedule. The Chiefs have been up and down, but the Chiefs have shown us at times that they can find the old Kansas City Chiefs, right?
Mm.
But the Buffalo Bills, I think some of these performances, not just the losses, some of these performances have been really bad. I know they beat Baltimore week 1, but they gave up 40 points. They lost to the Patriots, and the Patriots were just too physical for them. The Dolphins not only beat them yesterday, but the Dolphins played them tough the first time they faced off. So I'm starting to get concerned with the Bills as a whole, not Josh Allen.
Yeah. They're going to have to do better. All right, let me go back up to the top here. Omar Cooper, unreal catch wins for Indiana. Indiana undefeated season alive. He's talking about college football?
Yeah, college football. They had the great comeback. That was their second great win of the season too.
That's right. They're in third in the rankings, right? If I'm not mistaken.
And their quarterback right now, I believe, moved into the favorite. Mendoza's moved into the favorite for Heisman.
Okay. Let me read out a little. Omar Cooper, unreal catch, wins for Indiana. Indiana undefeated season alive. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I'm invested now because Alabama then after that first week, Alabama done been on a tear. So I'm on it. But no, shout out to Indiana though. That we get every year. I feel like we get a different school. It's like one of the schools is a school that hasn't really made it to this point,
right?
Maybe in whoever knows how long, or if even ever. I feel like we're getting one more of those every year, and I guess that's Indiana this year. Shout out to them. Let's see here. Okay, all right. Luca and Shay, if both was to retire right now, who overall has had the better career and overall accomplishment, All NBA, scoring titles, MVPs? I know it's just coming probably from the Gills Arena because I seen them. They was talking about it. I mean, you can't deny MVP, Finals MVP, NBA champion, right? If you had asked me this question before the start of last season, I would have said Luka. But you can't deny, like I said, MVP, Finals MVP, NBA champion is what it is. We're just talking about resume, not even who we feel is the better player.
If it ended right now, you have to say Shea because the resume is stronger. And we talked about this. His performance last year, like you said, the clean sweep, regular season, being a champion, Finals MVP, scoring champion. Historically, I think they ranked it as like the 4th or 5th greatest season by a player. Last year's performance alone.
Yeah.
So I think they both went to the finals, but Shea obviously completed the mission and Luka didn't. And Luka, and Shea, I think is a more complete player. I talk a lot about I love Luka, but I've always said I like Shea better because I think Shea is better off the ball. Shea doesn't have to be ball dominant to be a dominant player. He can play off and still impact the game. Luka doesn't. Shea's a better defensive player than Luka.
I'm about to say any plays defense.
Yeah, so I think Shea, the resume and just the player itself, I think Shea.
Even though I've watched a couple of the Lakers game this season, Luka's been playing defense. Like he looked like he's seen this topic coming up, and he's like, "Yo, I need to get my MVP right now, so we can even out this conversation again." Because he kind of passed me last season. You know what I'm saying? So, because even like, let's say like if take Jason Tatum, right, who wins the championship, but I wouldn't necessarily say his resume is better than either one of these two guys. You know what I'm saying? Especially not Shea, because obviously he's got the MVP and the Finals MVP, right? So, Luka's definitely been balling out this season. But yeah, if we're talking about right now, it's definitely Shea. The resume is better. MVP, Finals MVP, championship. That you can't get past that. Luka made it, but he lost. So
right.
What it is. Shout out to Will Gordon. What it do, baby? All right. Squeezy says, is this Sebastian Telfair story real that he lives back in the hood in New York? I did see that today. I didn't watch I watched like the first couple of minutes of it, but I didn't watch the entire thing. It's possible, guys go broke. Like how many guys, professional athletes, go broke after they retire from their respective playing career. It's not shocking. Whether you made a lot of money or a little bit of money, like look at guys like Antoine Walker, made over $100 million in his career. He had them kind of problems. Andre Rison. If you guys haven't, you should definitely watch the 30 for 30 doc Broke. They're not the only ones. So going back to the projects, hey, listen, you got sometimes you gotta take a step back, to move forward. So,
I haven't watched the doc. But I think it's being sold that way that he's back in the hood, but that's not the full context of it. Keep in mind, he got caught up in that insurance fraud scam that the NBA players did. And I think that's why he ended up moving back to I don't think he was back in the hood already. I think when he got convicted and he knew he was gonna get the jail time, I think that's when he kind of downgraded his lifestyle and said, I'm gonna live in the hood. That's why the title of the documentary is Final Days, him leading up to going to jail. Man, so I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think he was actually living back in the hood until the conviction came down, and then that's probably when he started selling off assets and said, fuck it, I'm just going, until I got to turn myself in, I'm just going to be back over here. So, in terms of Sebastian, it's a tragic story because one, sometimes notoriety and the spotlight can be a curse, and it's not meant for everybody. And not to say Sebastian wasn't a great player, but it was at a time when we were hyping up everybody who has some connection to either New York City Playground, because he is like the second cousin of Stephon Marbury. It was also at a time when LeBron James was getting all the hype as a high school player. And for those that may not remember, they had put out, Slam had even put out a basketball cover with Sebastian and LeBron on the cover together. Sebastian had the wrong people in his ear telling him to go to the league. He was not ready to go to the league. I think now he will even admit himself, I wasn't ready for that. But the buzz was so strong, you couldn't just go play college somewhere. You had to take the chance. You had to see if I could do it. And he really got lucky. Portland drafted him right at the end of the lottery. He got lucky because if Portland doesn't take him there, is a possibility he slides into the second round of the draft, and his whole life is completely different. But the expectations were unfair because, again, he had the brand of Marbury attached to him because of the family, because of where he came from in Coney Island, and so many great hoopers have come out of Coney Island. And just because of the atmosphere we were in regards to to sports. You know, we were looking for the next great high school basketball player, and it was like, oh, LeBron is one, and Sebastian's another, and it was unfair. And his NBA career never lived up to it. And it's also tough to separate when you're that young and you're getting that type of money. It's tough to separate yourself from the people that you grew up with. It's one of the things also, you know, Zab Judah struggled with. Shout out to Zab, legendary champion. But Zab got a lot of fame and money at an early age. And Zab didn't know how to kind of lead Brooklyn along. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mean that in a bad way, but Trip, you and I both know, like, once you get to a certain status, everybody can't come with you. And I can't be in every situation. Mm-hmm. I can't just be shooting dice in the middle of Brooklyn at 2 a.m. when, I mean, it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? You just can't do it. You got too much to lose, and you're around people who don't have the same things, who don't have this, who aren't on the same path. So I think for Bassie, that's what happened. It was a lot that came at him very young. The NBA career ended very fast. He never got the opportunity to really live it out the way he thought he was going to live it out. And then now all these other things in life are coming down fast. And Sebastian's still a young guy. Sebastian's only probably like 36, 37. We're not talking about somebody who's like super washed up. It's just, it happened so fast for him.
Yeah. So, I mean, listen, I hope he, does, get back everything that he lost and then some,
I hope so too.
It is what it is. We always wish for the, for the best. You know what I'm saying? He ain't do nothing crazy, so
he's actually 40. He's still a fairly young guy, bro.
Yeah. Day-Day's, we kind of spoke about a little bit, but the Daboll fired after the Giants blow 4 double-digit leads of the season. Yeah, I mean, it's just time. It's time for a change. And I like Daboll, Eric. I had to give him a chance in the beginning, and then I'm like, all right, I rock with Daboll. I still think he's a good coach. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted. I think he's still a good coach, but sometimes it's just time for a change. Like, there's a new regime in New York coming in, and they need something different. So I'm not even mad at that. Now I will say this: it sucks because it's really the defense that got him fired, because they the ones that's been giving up these leads. Like, the Giants had multiple 2-touchdown leads this season and gave it up. You know what I'm saying?
I think what did him in yesterday, I watched that game. You guys had the 4th and goal from like the 1. He kicked the field goal instead of going for it. He played it super conservative, and that came back to bite him in the ass, because you guys blow the lead, and it's like, play aggressive. You're not going to the playoff. You're a 2-win team. Play aggressive.
Might as well try it out.
Right. He played it conservative and just took the field goal. They end up losing. So I think that's why he kind of, I'm not gonna lie, he kind of had the look on his face yesterday that he knew, like, yeah, this ain't gonna last long.
Writings on the wall.
Yeah, this ain't going on much longer.
Will said, I didn't have Daboll getting fired first time I take it. I had Mike McDaniel. Has he done enough to survive the season and beyond? And did y'all see him spin the block at a Bills bar in Miami after the W? Listen, that man doing his personal time. That man business. But yeah, I mean, why would he get fired? He just beat the Bills. Like, bad too. Like it wasn't even close. You know what I'm saying? Like, they destroyed the Bills. Which are, they are one of the best teams in the league, and they destroyed them. And I know, it's a divisional game. I don't care about that. I don't want to hear that you got smoked like this by the Miami Dolphins when they're as bad as they are right now. I'm not trying to hear that. There's no Tyreek Hill out there. Like, they're not getting much of anything except for O'Shane. But other than that, like, this is the Miami Dolphins. There's no way. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't ever beat you guys, because again, that part is, the reality is it is a division game. You guys know each other very well, but the way they beat you should not have happened.
So I did see the clip when he came through South Beach at the bar where the Bills fans is hanging out at. I like it. I like that type of energy. You know what I'm saying? That's a division rival, and the Bills are down in Miami. So if y'all fans got the audacity to get together at a bar and celebrate like y'all gonna win something, then I should come through and spin a block. So I'm cool with that. Will, you're mistaken though. He was not the first coach fired, because remember, Tennessee fired their coach like 2 weeks ago. So Tennessee's coach was the first. Dabo was the second. Mike McDaniels is holding on by a thread. I don't know what's going to happen with Mike McDaniels, to be honest. I don't know if it seems like maybe the issue is more Tua, because you would think that after the statements Tua made about people being late for meetings and we got to get it together, that would have been an indictment on the head coach. And since that Tua made that statement, they've won 2 games and Tua hasn't really played well. It's been more about a team effort, a collective of the team. So maybe Mike McDaniels does stick around and Tua gets the boot out of there. Let's keep in mind also that this would be the second head coach that's failed with Tua Tagovailoa. So if Mike McDaniels can't make it work and Brian Flores did not want to make it work, at some point you got to look at Tua. You're the common denominator. Maybe you're just the problem.
Yeah. Okay. Shout out to Day. Drake May has best MVP odds at plus 275. I'm not mad at that, but I still think, what Jonathan Taylor is doing in Indianapolis is special this season. He's on pace to break the single season rushing touchdown record, which is 28 by LaDainian. So, I think he probably should be, but the MVP didn't turn into a quarterback's award. So, I understand why he wouldn't be the favorite at this point in the season. But I mean, 15 touchdowns. What we at right now? What's this week?
10 games.
10 games.
Mm-hmm.
15 touchdowns. But that's just me.
I think it'll come down. Right now, he does have the best odds. The top 3 odds right now, according to Vegas, are Drake May. What's my man? Matthew Stafford with the Rams is number 2, and then Jonathan Taylor's number 3. That's where they have it right now, Vegas. I do think it's going to come down to who gets that number 1 seed. The Patriots won 4 games last year. They've already doubled that. Drake May deserves a lot of credit. I think Mike Vrabel was probably going to win Coach of the Year. And if they are the number 1 or number 2 seed in the AFC, it's going to be tough to say Drake May isn't the MVP, because he's going to be a big part of that success. This isn't a team that's just winning with their defense. They dropped another great offensive performance yesterday against Tampa Bay. There's a team that at one point, I think they had 3 straight or 4 straight games of 30-plus points. So they scoring points. They're a very good team. They just missed dropping a 30-piece yesterday. If they are the 1 or the 2 seed, if they win that division and they're 1 or 2, Drake May is probably going to be the favorite to win it. If the Colts get the number 1 seed, and then we're talking about Jonathan Taylor having a 2,000-yard rushing season, which is very possible right now. He's already over 1,100 yards with 7 games to go. If he's at 2,000 yards and he breaks the touchdown record and the Colts are the number 1 seed, then I think he's going to have the inside track. And then for Matthew Stafford, it gets a little tougher because, again, they would have to – I don't think the Rams are going to have the number 1 overall seed in the NFC. And I still don't think I don't know if they're better than Seattle to win their division. You got to win your division. You got to be one of the top 2 or 3 teams to get the MVP vote. So for me, it is going to be between Drake May and Jonathan Taylor based on whichever team finishes the year stronger right now.
Yeah, if I think what would seal the deal for Jonathan Taylor is he would have to break the touchdown record or the single season rushing record. He would have to do one of those 2 things for to guarantee himself the MVP, because then the storylines and everything that's going to go along with it, 29 touchdowns or whatever, however many he would possibly get. But I think that would kind of push him, give him the edge in the MVP race, because it's not like is Drake May on pace to throw for over 5,000 yards?
I don't think he's on pace to throw 5,000 yards, but I think in terms of just his numbers, his numbers are really good this year, Trip.
No. I know his numbers are good, but I'm just saying, is he on pace to throw for over 5,000 yards? I'm thinking
right now, he's 3rd in passing. He's 3rd in touchdowns. He's got 2,500 yards passing, 19 touchdowns. And he's 5th in QBR. So he's gonna probably finish with about close to 4,500 yards passing, and close to 40 touchdowns. He probably finished with probably about 33, 34 touchdowns and 4,500 yards. That's a really good season.
No. It is a really good season, but now I'm saying in comparison to Jonathan Taylor, right? Who is, I mean, he's probably well ahead of in touchdowns on the season. Where's he at in rushing yards right now?
Jonathan Taylor,
Yeah, because he's in the
I believe
top.
he's lead. I believe he's leading the league.
If I'm not mistaken, right? So he's leading the league in rushing yards right now by about 200 yards, give or take, right? And that's what
Yeah, he's
Shane happened
after
246.
without even calculating tonight, because tonight neither one of those guys tonight are even close. Jonathan Taylor's at 11:39. The next closest is James Cook at 9:20.
That's
So
what I'm
he's a good
saying.
200 yards up.
He's leading in yards. He's well ahead in touchdowns. So he's gonna be first in both of those. If he would break the record, the rush, I think especially even more so the rushing touchdown record. If he breaks that and he's leading the league in rushing yards and leading the league in touchdowns, it's kind of like you got to give it to him. If Drake May is not leading the league in pass yards and passing touchdowns, then it's like, all right, he's having a really great year, but this is a once in a lifetime kind of a season that
So
Jonathan Taylor.
let me ask you a question. I don't want to jinx it, but let's say the coach struggle the rest of the year, right? Let's say the coach make the playoffs and struggle, and Jonathan Taylor still puts up great numbers. They're 8-2 right now. Let's say hypothetically they end up the season 11-6, but the Patriots are 13-4 with the number one record. How do you not give it to Drake May? Because he's impacting winning more than Jonathan Taylor. You got to keep in mind the Colts before Daniel Jones were already probably penciled in to win 7, maybe 8 games. That's kind of been their range the last couple of years. So is it a shock that the Colts are the number one team in the AFC and got the best record? Yes. Is it a shock that they if we would have told you before the season, the Colts going to win 8 games, you wouldn't have been shocked. Now, on the flip side, the Patriots won 4 games all the last year. They've already doubled that.
Yeah.
Drake May, real talk, Drake May looks like he's been the most consistent quarterback in the AFC this year.
Yeah, actually. Yeah.
So I'm not saying Jonathan Taylor doesn't deserve it. I do think that it's going to come down to how these teams finish the season. Because we saw last year the type of season Saquon had, and he couldn't win MVP. And I think there's somebody in the comment section who wanted to do a comparison of Saquon last year to Jonathan Taylor this year. But Saquon last year, I know the touchdowns wasn't the same, but Saquon went for over 2,000 yards rushing. He went for another 275 receiving, 15 total touchdowns. Historically, one of the great seasons for a running back. He didn't win MVP. Jonathan Taylor, so we're basically saying Jonathan Taylor got to go well over 2,000 yards and break the touchdowns just to even be considered, because I don't know if the numbers itself is going to be enough. I think it's also going to take the Colts being one of the top 2 seeds for people to be like, all right, he had a great year on a team that was really good this year, so therefore he impacted winning. Drake May, to me, if they keep doing what they're doing, Drake May's going to get more credit because they're going to look at it as a quarterback as impacting the winning more.
Well, so maybe, but also maybe not, because last year you would have accredited that team's success to Saquon Barkley and not Jalen Hurts.
Correct.
That's why Saquon was the MVP candidate.
Correct.
So,
but Josh Allen ended up winning.
Yeah. So on this team where it's like, all right, even though Daniel Jones is playing like out of his mind, he's still not your best offensive player.
Correct. But what I'm saying is the winning still has to match up with the numbers. Because if Jonathan Taylor keeps doing his thing, but let's say the Colts lose, and again, I don't want to jinx it, bro. Knock on wood, I don't want to jinx it. But let's say if the Colts struggle in the second half of the season, they're 8-2 right now. If they finish the season 11-6 and they weren't as strong down the stretch, even with Jonathan Taylor been putting up numbers for us. Like, and honestly, for people, I mean, I'm a Colts fan, so I'm obviously biased about it. But his 2021, 2022 season, I thought was even better than this. If you look back into the highlight runs that he was having that year, when was that with Carson? Yeah, that was with Carson Wentz as our quarterback. You look at the numbers he was putting up that year, he had a great fucking year.
1,800 yards, 18 touchdowns.
Right. He had a great year that year. He and I think he missed like 2 or 3 games. He would have probably eclipsed 2,000 yards that season if not for missing a couple games. So he's going to be in the same range. Right now, they're going into a bye week, and then they got the biggest game of their season coming up after that bye week against the Kansas City Chiefs. It's the week right before Thanksgiving. Jonathan Taylor right now, in comparison to what Saquon did last year, like I said, I know that's one of the questions up there. Saquon is at 1139 rushing, 6 yards per carry, 15 touchdowns already, 189 carries. So he's kind of halfway to where Saquon was last year because Saquon had 345 carries. His receiving numbers are already better than Saquon because Saquon only had 278 receiving yards last year. Jonathan Taylor's already at 260, so he's going to have more receiving yards than him. And like we talked about, Saquon finished at 2,005 yards. Taylor's at 1,139, so he's got an outside shot to not only have more rushing yards, but more total yards than Saquon and more total touchdowns. You hope that's enough to get you to vote, but we know in the NFL, if you're the quarterback on the team that has the best record, that's winning all the games, and if you put up solid numbers, you're going to get the votes. And so, like I said, with Drake May's going to probably finish with somewhere in the range of 43 to 4,500 yards. So he might be the top passer in the league. Right now, he's third. He's third there. He's third in touchdown passes. He's going to have a legitimate shot to be the number one guy. Yeah. The one thing for Jonathan Taylor that might be the difference maker, again, if both these teams are, let's say, 1 and 2 in either direction, is that Jonathan Taylor has a shot to win that triple crown where he'll be the top rusher, right? Most touchdowns. He's leading in yards per carry as well. If he gets that triple crown and the Colts are the number one, then it's tough. You got to vote for Jonathan Taylor. You can't discredit anything he did because he is the epitome of why they're winning.
What did the Colts prove on Sunday? That they can get the comeback victory against a mediocre football team. I mean, we already knew they were good, so it's not like they proved that. That's about it. They just proved that they can have a comeback victory.
I think the one thing they proved is just Daniel Jones' toughness. I talked about this when they lost to the Steelers. The O-line is getting pushed around a little bit. It happened in the Pittsburgh game. It happened yesterday in Atlanta. Now, I know Atlanta doesn't do very many things well, but the one thing they do well is get to the quarterback. They're number one in quarterback pressures in the NFL, and they're a top 3 team, I think, in sacks. So we knew that going into the game. Daniel Jones took a beating, and there was one point when they flashed in and his mouth was bloody, but Daniel Jones made a couple big plays. He had a big scramble on 3rd and 21. He had a big throw on 4th down on the game-time drive. So I think that's the one thing that the Colts proved. I don't think they proved anything by winning. They were 6.5-point favorites. They were supposed to win. And it was a neutral site game. It was in Germany, so it's not like they had to go down to Atlanta. It was a neutral site game. But the fact that Daniel Jones got beat up a little bit yesterday, still made the right plays, still made a lot of big plays, didn't turn the ball over, I think that's the one thing they proved. Daniel Jones is showing that, hey, no matter how many times you blitz me, no matter how many times you beat me up, I can still make the plays when it matters.
Yeah. What did Caleb prove and come back win? Nothing, because it's the Giants. And the Giants defense been giving up second half leads all season long. So I don't think he proved nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I like the resiliency from Caleb. I like that, they bouncing back after a slow start this year. But what I don't like is they find themselves in these holes too often. And like you said, these are teams that the Bears are supposed to beat up on. And in contrast to what we talked about the Colts, this was a home game for the Bears. You're at home in Chicago. It's snowing against a depleted Giant team that ain't got much. And you find yourself down 2 scores with 6 minutes to go in the game. That to me is a little concerning if we're talking Caleb. Like you got to have a little bit more killer instinct. And I wish you guys, the Bears, didn't start so slow in that game. The Giants should have won that game. And the Giants have let like 4 of those games go by this year.
If Jackson Dart doesn't go out with the concussion,
the Giants probably win.
You know what I'm saying? Because this team isn't a team that's proven like that if they're up like that and the Giants got the momentum going, they're going to be able to come back. So it's not like Dart, went out in the 4th quarter with 3 minutes left in the game. He went out in the 3rd quarter. So, there's a lot of football that where if he's behind center, they got that chemistry going, even without Scatterball, especially, yesterday they were rolling. The offense was rolling when Josh Dart in there. He had the 2 rushing touchdowns already. He was passing the football down the field. They were moving the chains. So if he's in the game, you probably don't come back and win this one. So it's nothing really that was proven to me.
Right. Yeah, I don't. Like I said, I don't think it was much proven there. They were the better team. This game should not have even, it should not even played out that way.
Exactly. Pooh, what's up? Pooh says a new women's hoop star is on the rise. She is a freshman at USC named Jazzy Davidson. She will be a star. Too bad her and Juju can't play together this year. Check her out. All right, I'm gonna check her out and see what's going on. It would be nice if she's that nice if we could have seen her and Juju playing, but we'll get that next season.
Maybe.
Or all right. Okay, so now we can get to that question. Dion Hoop's page says, is Jonathan Taylor having a better season in 2024? Saquon Barkley. He's on pace to have the better season. He's already ahead of him in touchdowns on the season though. So from that standpoint, he's already surpassed him. But yeah, he's on pace to have a better season than Saquon.
I think he's having a better season than Saquon just because Saquon went to an Eagles team. This not no knock on Saquon, but let's not forget he went to an Eagles team that already had Super Bowl aspirations and already had pieces. They had already been to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What Jonathan Taylor's doing right now is nobody expected this from the Colts. And like I said, he already has a rushing triple crown from back in that 2021-2022 season. So if he does it again, like it's almost cementing like I'm one of the premier all-time running backs to be able to do this twice within my career and do it twice within a 4-year span, really, that I was able to win the triple crown of running backs. So no knock on Saquon, but like you said, in half the carries, he already has more touchdowns than Saquon had last year. And these aren't like little BS touchdowns. You look at the runs that he's breaking off, the yardage that he's breaking off. He's averaging 6 yards a carry, bro. So it's crazy the type of season. And like I said, and then on the receiving side, he already has the same amount of receiving yards that Saquon had last year. And Saquon's a pretty good receiving running back. And John Taylor's already at that number. So I think it is more impressive. Yeah, he is.
So, yeah. Shout out to Jonathan Taylor. Deron Payne sucker punching.
Corny.
Yeah, I mean it's sucker punch. You know what I'm saying? We don't. That's corny. So I don't got to go in depth.
I was watching that game yesterday. Will Gordon and I were texting during the game. We knew the Commanders were going to lose. That was one of our picks that we talked about. Yeah. But this situation in DC, how undisciplined they were yesterday, and on the broadcast they highlighted it when they were down 14-3. They're literally trying to trash talk the Lions. It's like, bro, you're down 14-3 and the Lions are driving to score again. What are you trash talking about? Dan Quinn has no control. Yeah, Dan Quinn has no control over this team. Because like I said, the sucker punch happens, multiple penalties, everything that they did last year that everybody was so in love with. Dan Quinn doesn't have any control of this team at this point. And this isn't just about Jaden Daniels being injured. This is just who they've been. It started from the offseason. It started with that Terry McLaurin contract negotiation. Yep. It started with Debo showing up out of shape to training camp. They trade Brian Robinson, who just scored a touchdown with the 49ers yesterday. Meanwhile, they're now down to like their 4th-string running back at this point. There's a lot going on there with Dan Quinn that needs to be looked into in DC.
Yeah, I agree. And stop with the sucker-ish. Come on now.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna save that one, Imani. I'm gonna come back to that because I just saw what that was. All right, let me see. Hoop Central says, not that you all know the answer, but why do certain players stay hurt? Zion, PG, AD, and Embiid. Is it luck? Is it they not in great shape? Most of the great ones stay for the most part healthy. No, I think it's just luck, honestly. Like some guys just don't have the, just that the fortunate, because I take a guy like Brandon Roy, right? He got hurt a lot. So ultimately his career was over. Greg Oden never really got his career started. So I think it's just luck of the draw, man. And then sometimes once you get that one injury, that's a real big injury, and you still come back. Yeah, I noticed that they get little ticky-tack injuries. Sometimes they get the bigger injuries. It's just, because at that point it's like, the body is really, breaking down. The more you get injured, the harder it is to stay on the court.
I think so. This is interesting because of the 4 names that are up there. Because I think when it comes to Zion and Embiid, a lot of it has to do with diet and conditioning. Zion, it seems like every season Zion is waiting till the season starts to work himself into shape, and that's just the worst approach to take. Embiid, it's a lot of diet. If you look back early in Embiid, there's a lot of videos of him eating McDonald's on the training table. He's getting taped up, and he's eating fast food, eating junk food. And for somebody that size who already wasn't a physical freak, you got to just diet better. You got to eat better. You got to take care of your body better. You got to understand that, your body is not going to respond to these things you're eating the right way. So both of them, I think, it's the diet and conditioning. And I also talked about it too, like Embiid playing in the Olympics last summer was a terrible decision by him because he's the type of guy who needs as much rest as possible and as much conditioning as possible to get ready for the season. He don't need the wear and tear of actually playing high intensity games. PG and AD, I think, is a little different. I think PG, let's be clear. PG's injury history started after that horrific accident he had in the Summer Olympic Games. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, he was not injury prone. He was the guy that never dealt with injuries. His body has never fully recovered from that. He's had ACL, MCLs, both knees have been operated on. And it's just one of the things that the body just, it can't respond to. It is what it is. And I think same thing with AD. You look at the type of injuries AD had. He did not come out of college with injury history. But once the injury started mounting up, it was different. So I think Embiid and Zion was more about diet and preparation and conditioning. With PG and AD, I think it's more about they just had horrific injuries that their body has never fully recovered from. And I don't know what PG if ever was going to be the same. Because remember, PG sat out for almost a year and a half. I don't know if his body was ever going to respond the same. And I don't know if mentally it was going to be the same. Keep in mind, Gordon Hayward was never the same player after that injury he had. Remember that opening night with Boston? Sometimes you have an injury that's just so horrific that mentally your game changes. You're never the same player.
Derrick Rose.
He
was good up until he got hurt that one time when he went outside. And then
the type of injury can have a major effect on your body, on your mind. Remember Derrick Rose, that's a great example too. Because that whole time when Derrick Rose was out, we kept hearing, he's going to be back, he's going to be back. And Derrick Rose, he kept prolonging it because he knew mentally he was not ready. He had not overcome them hurdles to be ready to play the game the way he wanted to play the game.
Yep. And he's high flyer. So jumping up to him. Squeezo says, I know Gilbert and Kwame Brown have been beefing for the last few years. But did you all see their videos of late? The ish Gil says about Kwame Gilbert and not seeing him alone. Well, I mean, we know, unfortunately, but we know Gil's a shooter, so I don't know if he's gonna be by himself without that thing on. Plus, I don't think they frequent in the same place. It's too tough. Anyway, I mean, I like it. Whatever, I don't care. They're going back and forth. It is what it is. As long as it doesn't spill over past the internet, I'm okay with it. Whatever. Like, y'all want to talk your ass, you don't like him, he don't like you, whatever. I really don't care.
I did see, shout out to Etan Thomas. I saw it, and shout out to Will Gordon for the love of the game, because Etan Thomas is one of the members in that group. But Etan Thomas, who does media now, former NBA player, he had a conversation with Kwame. He asked him, would you be willing to sit down with Gil and kind of hash out whatever issues you guys had in the past? And Kwame said, yeah. And kind of like what you said, he was like, I don't view it as real beef because we never came to blows. We never, it was no bloodshed. It's just a lot of talking ish back and forth. So I think ultimately, if they want to squash it, they can. But don't get it twisted. Gil's voice, I think, fools people. Gil from the hood. Gil Gil was not no suburban kid. It's just he doesn't carry himself that way.
Yeah.
But Gil ain't no suburban kid. And like you said, Gil's a shooter. We know he's a shooter. So, and I don't think Gil would be scared to say whatever he got to say, because if you watch the documentary about the whole locker room incident with him and Javaris Critton, he spoke his mind every time they saw each other. Now, he's acknowledged later on in life, hey, I shouldn't have dragged that situation where I did. It led to unnecessary situation and kind of ruin his career. But I don't think Gil seeing Kwame is going to change what he says. I highly doubt he would tuck his tail if he see Kwame Brown.
No. Let's see. Kyrie says same curse with Imani Bates, Mikey Williams, and look at them now. Do you feel they all succumb to the pressure on all the magazines before they prove themselves?
I think this is in reference to the Sebastian when we saw about Sebastian.
Oh, okay, copy. I mean, listen. Some guys are gonna, live up to the hype, and some guys aren't. Right? I would say Wemby's living up to the hype. Right? You know what I mean? He's somebody who just came out recently, and he's getting better and better every year. But then some guys don't. One of the guys we just spoke about. You know what I'm saying? Like guys don't always live up to the hype. You could be a great player in high school, you could be a great player in college, but the NBA, you wind up being regular or mid-level or whatever, or you could be an average player in high school, a good player in college, and a great player in the league. Vice versa. You know what I'm saying? It's all based on the individual, the work ethic, the situations that they're thrown into, because obviously you get drafted to a good team, you can kind of write your ticket. You get drafted to a bad team, might be a little more, difficult. So you know what I mean, it just is what it's individual based, and sometimes they hit, sometimes they don't.
Well, let's be clear though, we can't forget, right? Like sometimes you just peak in high school. And
that's true too.
I'm not trying to be disrespectful to them young men, but it's possible that their athletic abilities peaked in high school. Maybe you just weren't good enough to play at that next level. Every McDonald's All-American doesn't make the league. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And every Division I athlete doesn't make the league. We know that there's a process, and sometimes your game peaks and your athletic ability may peak. And absolutely. There's some guys who talk about how great they was in high school and they might have been average. And then there's some guys who talk about how great they was in high school and they was really great in high school. But then again, that might be where it peaks. Imani Bates is still trying to live out the dream. I know Mikey Williams is over in Sacramento State. I'm going to actually trip to holler at H on that too, because Sacramento State got Mikey. They got Shaq's son over there, and Mike Bibby's the coach.
I did see that, yeah.
Yeah. So, Mikey's, they both still trying to live out the dream, and they both still got a chance. I'm not going to say the book is closed on them, but it's very possible that they peak athletically at that point.
Yeah. Okay, Hoop Central says, Klay Thompson, what's up with him? He almost looked washed up. It's kind of sad, but
almost.
I say if Kyrie and AD are playing, he looks a little bit better. Remember, he was declining his last year with Warriors, but everyone blaming Megan. This ain't got nothing to do with Megan Thee Stallion. Cut that out right there. Let's be clear, okay? This ain't Game 6 Klay we talking about here. All right.
I said this on Wednesday.
If Klay was that good, he would have still been in Golden State. All right. And I'm saying that respectfully because Father Time is still undefeated. All right.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to decline at some point. That's just the circle of life. Okay. Physically, we cannot do at 50 what we used to do at 20. That's just how that works. Okay. Now the jump shot is the last thing to go, so he can definitely linger around. But yeah, at some point, he's going to start to decline. And yes, they probably would look better if Kyrie was out there because, again, the jump shot is the last to go. And with Kyrie out there handling the basketball, Klay is going to get a lot more low-pressure, high-volume three-point shots because of the way he handles the ball. He can get to the basket. You got to double-team him. He can find the guys open. So their whole offense is gonna look different when Kyrie Irving is there. But
yeah,
he's
I said this on Wednesday. I said that we got to remember Klay's last couple of years in Golden State were a slow decline. Let's not forget that there was a point where we thought Jordan Poole was going to take his spot as a splash brother. But from 2022, 2023, which was, I believe, that was that last Warriors championship. From that point on, if you look at the 3-point percentage has dropped, his points per game has dropped. You're right, Trip, in terms of like the shot is the last thing to go. However, like you also highlighted, when you're a guy who don't create your own offense, you need those other pieces to create space for you.
Exactly.
And he, you know, now when Kyrie comes back, maybe things will open up for him. Maybe the floor space is a little bit better for him. But let's not forget, Klay Thompson is another guy. We talked about injuries before and guys who were never the same. Klay was never the same after that injury he suffered in the finals against the Raptors, right?
Exactly.
Defensively, he was never the same player again. Offensively, he was never the same player again. And he has a lot of miles on him. There's a guy who went to 5 finals with the Warriors. They went to a lot of wars. So this isn't your prototypical like veteran shooter. This is a guy who realistically was playing 100 games a year for like 5 or 6 straight years. He, you know, and I'm sorry, I misspoke. He went to 6 finals with the Warriors. You know what I'm saying? So he's got a lot of wear and tear on his body. And this is a situation that even when Kyrie comes back, I think it might get better, but we're never going to see Klay Thompson from the Warriors again. Like, let's forget that. He's not going to be that.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Imani. She says, why in women's basketball, a lot of the new players and a lot of fans don't know their history. WNBA started in 97 with Lisa, Swoops, Coop, Holslaw, Staley, and some of these players are somewhat forgotten unless you're a historian. But it's another era, the 80s star players that finished the end of their career in the WNBA, but are forgotten somewhat. The Cheryl Miller, Teresa Edwards, Katrina McClain, Lynette Woodard, and the ladies you had on. So how do we keep the past alive like the NBA? All right, so one way
we had this talk.
Yeah, one way is what we've been doing, and that's bringing these legends on the platform to tell their stories. That's one way. Another way would be, you know, the opportunity that was missed in USC when Juju, breaks the record for rookie points in the season, held by another, friend of the show, Tina Hutchinson at one point. So that's another way to make sure that these legends live on. Again, and we spoke about this a couple of times, the thing with Cheryl Miller and why she was able to stay relevant for so long, because she had a Hall of Fame brother by the name of Reggie Miller. So the storyline's always going to be brought up. But that's not been being done, so that's why we don't see it a lot of that. But it can be done.
Yeah, all the things you highlighted, Trip. I think that we're asking, how do I put this? Point blank, it's up to the women to carry their history. And I don't mean to sound arrogant when I say that. I'm just, it is. It's up to the women, because when you hear like a lot of up and coming guys, right? They talk about who their idols were, how they watched the game, who they idolized, who they wanted to play like, right? Mm-hmm. In the women's game, we don't hear that a lot. A lot of the women still reference the men players. They still reference the male athletes that they idolize, or I grew up watching this guy, I grew up watching that guy. Yeah. So at some point, the next generation of women got to hold it down and know their history, right? Like for us that are older, same thing with Imani, like we can't tell you who to like or who was great. We could tell you from our perspective who we like. We could tell you who's our top 5, who was great to us. But at some point, you got to, quote unquote, do the knowledge. At some point, you got to do your Googles and know your history and understand like, yo, this woman was great, that woman was great. And I don't think that's present. And so I don't know where you change that. I don't know where that starts from. But that's why I say I think it does fall on the women at some point. The women got to create their history. The men's game is doing that on their own. The men's game ain't asking nobody else how to do it. It's just like, we love the sport of basketball. Let's talk about it. And we hear it here. Shout out to Pooh. Shout out to Imani, 2 of the frequent females in the comment section. Y'all talk men's hoop. Why? Why do y'all talk men's basketball? Why do y'all know about the legacy of certain guys? Why do y'all know who's great, who's not great? Because you took the time to watch and learn. And the younger women who are playing basketball got to do the same thing, but from the female perspective. They got to go back and look at the tapes and look at the history.
Yeah. Kyrie says legend Lisa Leslie was talking on a podcast about Asia Wilson being WNBA GOAT. She said eventually she could, but Lisa says outside of Stewie and Collier, there's no great bigs in the current WNBA. Well, that's gonna be a problem too because from that last comment, you're gonna need some better bigs in the to help keep those legacies alive. Whew. I mean, first of all, the first part of that, Asia Wilson being the GOAT, she probably will when she retires, because again, she's not gonna retire no time soon, so she's gonna continue, and she has a Hall of Fame resume right now. She has a top 5 greatest player resume right now. So by the time she retires, her resume is going to be so far ahead, barring any major injuries. But it's going to be so far ahead that you ain't got no choice but to say Asia Wilson is the GOAT. Like that's just how great she's been over the course of her career. Now as far as the other part with the no great bigs in the current WNBA, it's a couple of younger girls out there, but I think it takes time. Everybody's not going to be a Stewie. Everybody's not going to be, what I'm saying, a Lisa Leslie. Everybody's not going to be that. So, and then sometimes, things shift, right? Right now in the NBA, things kind of shifted. Whereas in the 90s, it was the land of the Giants. It was a big man league. Then things shifted and it became the land of the wings. Then it shifted again. It became the land of the guards. So, things happen.
I want to say this. Shout out to Lisa Leslie. She is a legend, of course. I think it's a contradictory statement, though, right? Because to say outside of Stewie and Collier, there are no other great bigs. Last time I checked, the last 2 championships Asia Wilson won. Who did she beat? Who were the bigs that she beat? Stewie and Collier.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah.
Right? So if she's going up against the best that the league has to offer and she's beating them and it clearly is the best, I mean, sometimes greats make other people look less. They sometimes knock off the appreciation of the other competition. When you're so great, you could make somebody else who's really good look like, oh, they might just be average. No, they're good in their own right. They're just not Asia Wilson. So I think, like I said, it's contradictory to say outside of those 2 as if that's not who Asia Wilson is beating for championships. She went toe-to-toe against the 2 premier bigs and won. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like if let's say hypothetically, if Karl-Anthony Towns were to beat Joker and it'd be like, oh, Karl-Anthony Towns is great, but the only other great big is Joker. Well, that's who he just beat.
Yeah.
He just beat the other great big. So I think Asia is great in her own right. I really hope that we start to transition away from all this GOAT talk, because I think it's overdone and it's watered down at this point. We can't keep, after every season, we can't keep having this GOAT conversation. Like, we're not giving anything enough time to truly develop and really see like the greatness of somebody, because we're so quick to want to already put the GOAT conversation. Like we talked about this earlier. Like Luka and Shea are like 24 and 25 years old, and we're talking about if they retired today, who had a better career. Like what? What? Like dudes can't even get you know what I'm saying? Dudes can't even get a 10-year career in before we already want to compare resumes. Like, come on, man. Like let's get away from that. Yeah, like let's let the guys get to 30. Let's appreciate some of the things they've done before we want to have the all-time conversations.
Facts. Pooh says the Houston Rockets have been looking nice so far after a shaky start. I like the Spurs to make some noise with Fox back. I mean, listen, Houston was going to be good this season, with or without Fred VanVleet. And even with that, I would, when I spoke about the impact of Fred VanVleet, I was more concerned about the impact of him not being in the playoffs as opposed to the regular season. Because regular season, Houston gonna do their numbers. You got Kevin Durant on the team with that defensive-minded roster, right? You got Kevin Durant, you got Şengün, you got Amen out there. this is a really good basketball team. They was gonna win games. All right, now with the impact of again, Fred VanVleet is gonna come playoff time, but they were gonna be good this season. They got Kevin Durant, and as far as the Spurs, Victor Wembanyama, that brother there, boy, that brother trying to make a case for best player in the league right now.
That's a fact.
He said, "I'm
It's
coming."
crazy because it was either last week or the week before. Vern had hit me up. I guess Vern must have tuned in, and he was like, "Do you believe Victor's top 5 player now?" I was like, "Absolutely." Because me and him had this debate 2 years ago. I'm like, "But when you wanted to talk about that was 2 years ago.
He wasn't top
then."
5 years ago,
Right? But right now, oh yeah, Victor Wembanyama's man. If they are the scariest team in the league, I think. And if they get, like I said, if they stay healthy and just continue to gain experience, they're going to be a major, major problem.
Yeah. All right, let me see. Hoopsype says, "Do y'all agree with this? We should not judge NBA teams till they 20 games in. Ish may be 25 games in, teams still learning each other." I mean, listen, one thing I will say is teams are bringing in new players every season, and not just new players to go on the end of your bench and never get any burn. You're bringing in players that you want to have a major role in what you do offensively and defensively throughout the course of the game. Everybody's chemistry don't develop in a week. Sometimes it might take 20, 30 games for a team to really mesh and gel. It just is what it is. The timing is based on the players, the coaches, the organization is a combination of everything.
Yeah.
Right? So no, I wouldn't judge teams too early.
I agree. I think 25 games is close enough. That puts you just over the quarter mark of the season. And like you said, between player changes, coaching changes, just adjusting to what other teams are doing. Because remember, all teams are adjusting every offseason. They're changing things defensively, offensively. You got to give teams a little bit of time. But I think that 25 game mark from that point on is a pretty good estimate. If you look good the first 20 games of the season, and then once everybody gets enough tape on you to adjust, are you going to look good the next 20? And it's going to show. If you don't look good the next 20, that's because everybody caught up to what you were doing, and now you haven't adjusted. But if you're able to keep adjusting and keep things fresh and implement new parts of your offense and your defense, that's what separates the really good teams from the, okay, they was good this week, but they struggling this week.
Exactly. Fellas, I watched Morant versus Shea a few days ago, thinking Morant would come in like this. Ninja took my spot as the future face of the league, and he shot 3 for 18, and Shea went off. Well, first of all, Ja Morant, it's time to go. It ain't he ain't gonna get better because mentally he's checked out. Yeah. So it's not gonna get better until he's gone and has a new environment, right? And then that's 1 and 2. OKC is a way better team than the Memphis Grizzlies. So I'm not even shocked that he'd have a 3 for 18 night with everything that's going on. And then, you got Lou Dort, who might be one of the best perimeter defenders in basketball right now, guarding him. And then you could throw Shea at him. You could throw, Williams at him. You know what I mean? So that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, it's time for Ja got to go. He got to get up out of there.
Yeah, the writing's been on the wall. I said that. I've said it many times already, Trip. You know that. He needs to get up out of there. I think that in terms of like the face of the league, that ship has sailed for Ja. I don't think Ja's ever going to get that recognition again. When you get in the type of legal trouble he got into, it's tough for anybody to really want to push that brand anymore. And that's nothing against. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You really would have to remake your whole image for the league to want to kind of put the brand on your back. So I think that's what it does. To compare Ja and Shea at this point is not even fair. again, what we just said earlier, Trip, you talking about the league MVP, the finals MVP, a champion, all NBA scoring champion. Ja's a good player, but he is not SGA. We can't even if you watch it just for excitement, you watch it, but don't watch them hoops hype. Don't watch them thinking you're gonna see somebody going up against Shea, because Shea's in a different category now. Shea's hooping with the elite of the NBA.
Yeah, he surpassed all of the guys that was around his
Yeah,
time
he,
coming into the
he passed
league.
them, right?
With this past season, it's over.
Right.
Have y'all seen Stephen Curry on LeBron in that show? I always felt in his mind he wants to be a teammate with Curry, and I still feel it. But even if it happened, the age now is the problem. I mean, he spoke about playing with Steph Curry. He said a lot of times he would love to
Yeah,
play
he said
with
it.
Curry. So that's no shocker. Do I think they could win together now? Yeah, I think depending on what the team looked like, it's possible they could, but they are older. If they were going to run together, I would have liked to see it happen 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, for them to play now would just be more like nostalgic from the standpoint of we could say we saw two of the greats team up. Could it happen? Yeah, it's possible. I mean, does Golden State want to go down that road to try to win a championship? You probably would have to give up Kuminga, who's their only young piece. The Lakers probably would do it in a heartbeat. If the Lakers could add Kuminga with Luka and Reeves, they would love to add him. So it might have to be some sort of combination of Kuminga or Butler and somebody else, whoever it is. But it would purely be for nostalgic reasons. And it probably would only be like a 1-year thing at that. It might be one of the things that we get to enjoy it for 40 to 50 games, and then it's like it ain't gonna go any further than that. But yeah, you're right. Bron has always expressed that he would love to play with Steph.
Day says, "Do y'all like Cam Newton on First Take replacing Shannon Sharp?" I rock with Cam, so I'm all for it. I'm all for brothers getting the check. I'm all for brothers being in the media space. I like Cam's show. You know what I'm saying? I like his show. Really, and I rock with. I'm a fan of Cam Newton, so yeah, I'm happy for him. Shout out to Cam Newton.
I agree. I like Cam in that spot. He's knowledgeable. He's entertaining. And as somebody who's not far removed from his playing days, he still has that connection, you know what I'm saying, where he could talk about the game in a way that a lot of other guys really can't. And that's not to say Shannon can't, but again, Shannon been retired 15 plus years. Cam was just in the league a couple years ago. So he could talk about the game in a different way than Shannon can. So I do like Cam Newton in that spot.
Facts. We're going to get to Imani's question, and we're going to get to the final thought. We saved this one for y'all. Imani says, "Okay, I'm a little younger, but Max B gets out of jail, and I'm tired of saying French Montana." I'm not going to repeat the rest of that, but you did throw up the pause, and I respect you for that, and I appreciate you for that, Imani. French let him breathe, be with the fam. Explain to me and youngins why he was in jail and what French's connect to him to be all up under him. All right, so went to jail for a robbery where a murder was committed during that robbery. Supposed to get 75 years. Took a plea, wound up, getting it down. I think Max did about 15, 16 years, something like that.
I think he did 16 years on that the plea deal. I think got him down to like 18, and he served I think 16 of that 18.
Yeah. So okay, now connection to French Montana, Coke Boys. All right,
Amani, this way you too young, you don't know. Sometimes I get it, but sometimes you gotta sit it out because you throwing a jab at French without knowing the relationship.
Yeah, but no, they been running together. That's
right.
That's you know what I'm saying. So, so shout out to Max B, and then the other part is, see, y'all not people that's not from New York, they may not get it, but Max B is a legend in New York. That's the wave. All right. I remember it was a couple of years ago, something like with Sue Surf, where he was talking about because he had like the tsunami surf thing, trying to be the wave, and somebody had to check the people like, nah, Max B is the wave.
Is the
All
way.
right.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? It's different. So, Max B is a large part of the reason that Jim is doing what he's doing right now, the run that he's been on. Max B, and rest in peace to the good brother Stack Bundles, you know what I'm saying, was a big part of the reason
Hell yeah.
that Jim kind of got a second career after Dipset. Because they was, writing a lot of them hooks, them songs. And I'm saying, bury me in my Gucci's, you know what I'm saying? So shout out to Max B. Welcome home, Max B. One other thing, I seen somebody on Instagram, he was just like, I don't get why people is praising this guy who came from jail because it was for a robbery and whoop de whoop. And my response to that is jail is a horrible place. In case you didn't know. And again, I have not been there to speak to how horrible of a place it is, but I have friends and I have family members that have been there. Some of them have been there for a long time and will tell you that if it ain't the worst place to be in the world, it is definitely one of the worst places that you ever want to be in life. It is inhumane. That's what they will tell you. So, you know what I'm saying? Anybody to go through that, survive that, stand 10 toes, do all of that, and come home, that's what we do. And you know what I'm saying? We come home, welcome home. We're gonna throw a party.
Listen, man.
There's gonna be some ladies out. We're gonna throw the jewelry on you, put some money.
Some people tell on themselves and they talk about their lack of experiences in life. Just because somebody go to jail don't mean you stop loving them. Exactly. And just because somebody, you know what I'm saying, somebody could be part of something, bad, that don't mean that they're a terrible person. Sometimes, sometimes your intent isn't what's always displayed. I'm not saying Max is right or wrong for being a part of that robbery. I don't know the conversation that took place before that robbery happened. But I highly doubt he went in there saying, yo, let's kill somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
That might not, that probably wasn't his intention. It went that way. But I think the reason you celebrate, what we do anyway, our culture celebrates somebody like Max B, is because he did his time like a man. He didn't snitch on nobody. He didn't point the blame at nobody else. He took full accountability. Like you said, they presented evidence. He took a plea deal. I'm guilty. I'm willing to acknowledge that I was wrong. And I'm going to take my plea deal. And I'm going to take my time like a man. So you have to respect that. Now, I said, if you're not from that culture, if you're not from that cloth, then you wouldn't understand that. You wouldn't understand that, he stood tall and he did what he had to do. And again, the people that love him was rocking with him throughout that time. Now, to Amani's point, like Trip highlighted, Max, early 2000s, was a key figure in Jim Jones becoming the solo star that he became, right? He has writing credits on Ballin'. He has writing credits on a lot of Jim's biggest songs. Him and Jim had a falling out over business. That falling out is what led to him and French kind of rocking together. So him and French kind of had like a association. They wasn't best friends or nothing like that. But French was, for people that don't know, because I think too often, and I thought about this too, Trip, when we have the Jay-Z conversation, because I think people forget where you started from and they only see the end point and they think you always was just there at the end. For people that don't know, French put in a lot of work on the DVD scene. French literally built his name up in the streets. This wasn't like some major label that was back in French Montana and that everybody started playing his records. It was like, no, French had the Coke Boys DVDs and they was on the streets, flooding the streets, and he was getting all exclusive interviews and he was getting to know all the other big artists. So he had a lot of connections already. When Max and Jim had their falling out, somebody connected French and Max and was like, yo, y'all should work together. Y'all should do some music together. And that built their friendship. So you're talking about, Amani, when you're talking about Let the Man Breathe, you're talking about a 20-year plus friendship, who also, French put up a lot of the money for the lawyers. French put up a lot of the money while Max was in jail.
And he was holding him down while he was in jail.
Now taking care of his family while he was in jail. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's like if, God forbid, I went away, Trip, my brother, He taking care of he making sure my family good. Yo, anything you need, I got you, bro. When I come home, guess what we gonna do? We gonna celebrate. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna party like the last 20 years ain't never happened. So that's what I say. You can't shit on, pardon my language, on French and make it seem like, oh, he all of his butt and all that. Like, yo, that's his man that he held down and took care of his family. That's basically his brother.
Yeah, facts.
You know what I'm saying?
That is what it is.
That's his brother. And so I'm happy for Max. I think Max never got the just due because Max was ahead of his time. We talk about cats going viral now. If Max B, if there had been a social media in 05, 06, 07, Max B,
Miami.
Yeah, Max B would have been one of the most popular dudes out right now. We talking, this is probably the love of hip hop. This is probably the most
popular dudes out right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If this is, we're talking prior to social media, prior to reality TV, that's what Max B was. He was reality TV. So all them clips you see on Instagram, keep in mind, those are clips that you would only see on the DVD when they came out. Once a month when that On the Come Up or Sub-Zero or Smack DVD or Coke Boys, one of them DVDs would come out. Max B, any DVD that came out, anybody from that era will tell you, Max B was one of the people you tuned in for because you're like, yo, Max is a character, bro. And on top of that, he was super talented. Like I said, the songs he was writing, the things he was doing behind the scenes, he never gets enough credit for it because he wasn't the one in the forefront of it. But to Trip's point, the people from New York, we know who Max was because we knew what the work he was already putting in. So we knew about his wave. We knew what he was doing. He was one of the swaggiest dudes, one of the flyest dudes in the game. Same thing with Stack Bundles, who his life got taken too early. Stack would have changed the game, bro. If y'all love the shit that Cam was doing at his peak, Stack was on that same type of time. Stack Bundles would have had the game in a frenzy as well if he would have got the chance to be at the forefront of things.
Facts. Shout out to Bino too, man. Riot Squad.
Right, that's a fact. Yep, whole Riot Squad, Chinks, all of them.
Eric, give us a final thought, man.
Man, as always, shout out to the supporters. We greatly appreciate y'all, man. Y'all rocking with us. And again, we're gonna be back this Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. with the picks. I saw the comment there from Hoop Central. I was gonna mention it too. RIP to the great Lenny Wilkins, who passed away. Also, RIP to NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue, who passed away as well. We lost some legends this week, man. So we can't forget them. We always love talking about the history of the game. Talking history of basketball, you got to talk Lenny Wilkins as a player and a coach. You're talking the history of football and where the game of the NFL is at right now. It never gets to this point without a Paul Tagliabue. So we got to pay our respects to both of those guys.
Condolences, legends, both of those guys. Condolences to their families. And again, appreciate you guys. Shout out to Imania's pops too, because she told me earlier, she hit me up. She said, hey man, did y'all schedule a show yet? Because Pop's about to go crazy if y'all don't schedule a show. So
shout out to Pops, we appreciate you.
Yeah, I was trying to get her to send me his name because I wanted to shout his name out. But shout out to Pops, man. Salute to you, man. We appreciate you. All right. With that being said, make sure y'all following us on all our social media, Twitter, Instagram at Real Fan Talk, Facebook.com/Real Fans Real Talk. And of course, subscribe to that YouTube channel, YouTube.com/For the Fans Productions. And if you're not in New York City, on Thursday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. and you can't watch us on Verizon 43, do not worry. Just click that website, realfansrealtalk.com, red button on the homepage, and you can watch from anywhere in the world. And make sure you subscribe to the two best podcasts moving. That's the Sanchez Show and the Real Fans Real Talk podcast. We will be back Wednesday night with more parlays. So make sure you guys are locked in with myself, Eric, and Will Gordon, our guy. So yes, with that being said, for myself, Trip Young, and my brother, my co-host, Eric Sanchez, aka Legend in Two Games, we up out of here. Peace.